Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time. Tea Time Espresso. Yep, an early morning for me, guys. So, welcome everyone to Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 6th of February 2019. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session. Where we're gonna have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff, guys. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, guys, so now then, so before actually we jump into the charts, just a quick mention. If you would like me to cover a specific instrument, let's say in one of my next videos, please leave a comment after the video gets uploaded, and then I'll pick it up from there, and yep, I'll cover it in the next video. So but for now, let's jump into the charts. Now I do want to cover a few of the indices here, but I'm not going to take too long on those because it's, in a way, it's kind of straightforward here right now on these. So basically, looking at Nikkei, the first index, and you can see that it's currently trading below this downside resistance line taken from the highs of the 2nd of October, and it's very close to it. It kind of failed to drive above it. It's currently banging also on this on the 20,972 level, approximately there. So of course, this is what we're going to be keeping a close eye on, and if we do get a nice pop above this downside resistance line, well, of course, we will start targeting slightly higher levels. We could, in a way, aim for the 200 EMA here, or just slightly below that. We do have the 21,340 level, which is marked here by the highs of the 18th of December. So, and also acted as a good area of support on the 14th of December. So very good potential area of resistance here, especially, like I said, given the fact that it's also not far from the 200 EMA. But again, we need to see that nice good break here above this downside resistance line first, and then we could aim for slightly higher levels. The only thing is, if you can see, I've got the arrow here from this level here, not from here. It's just because for a better confirmation of the upside, in order to kind of consider the upside in near term and maybe slightly more medium term, we need to see a nice good push here above this level, above this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart here. And then we could aim for higher levels, of course, the 22,000 zone and above that. So for now, guys, we'll just play it very short and simple. We're just going to keep a close eye on this downside resistance line first. We'll see if it actually breaks it or not. If this fails to drive above this downside resistance line, well, in a way, you could start looking at possibly seeing a possible test of the 20,720 zone, approximately there. A nice good drop below this could lead the index towards the 20,000 and 20,345 level, approximately here, which also acts as a good area of support, and both support and resistance. So this little obstacle around this level, around this area here, around the 20,345. But of course, if this fails also to withhold the index from dropping lower, then yep, further declines are possible. But of course, initially, let's see what it wants to do with this downside resistance line, if it actually wants to break it. If it doesn't want to break it, then yep, start looking at these levels that I've just mentioned. Jumping into FTSE had a nice, wonderful push yesterday, and this is one of the ideas that we've posted last Friday, and basically on our JFD research account here and on TradingView, and basically this was the idea that we threw out on the 1st of February, and basically where we were looking at potential move here higher towards the 7,150 level. But you can see that it kind of exceeded the expectations here and managed to push further up here. So still we are keeping a close eye on this 7,190 level, and just to kind of show you what that level was in the past here, it was not far from the highs of the 2nd of November, and also acted as a good area of support here back on the 9th of October as well. So for now, basically, long story short, guys, certainly we could see a bit of a correction here back down, but still the path kind of holds higher, and especially if we're going to get a nice pop above the 7,190 level, then yep, this could be opening the path towards some next good areas of resistance. And also you could keep an eye on this little obstacle around the highs that we saw here back on the 9th of October. So the 9th of October highs are around the 7,245 level approximately here. So you could in a way initially target that level if we do get a nice push above the 7,190 level. The only thing is that don't forget that at some point we could see a bit of a correction here to the downside. Maybe it will be today, or maybe it will be tomorrow. Let's see what happens. But again, like I said, for now we're more positive. We're more bullish than bearish on this one. Jumping into DAX. DAX also had a nice push yesterday, managed to break above this key area of resistance near the 11,330 zone. You can see that it closed above this, and certainly this increases the chances of this index to travel further up here towards the next potential area of resistance around the 11,570 zone, which was marked here by the highs of the 3rd of December, and also maybe a test of this downside, this medium term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 15th of June last year. So you can see this nice good downside resistance line running here, taking the peaks of course from the like I said 15th of June, then we're touching here the 27th of July, and we're also taking a test of the 27th September, and now we could, like I said, end up testing that level again, because like I said, for now it seems to be more bullish than bearish, but of course always have that little element of the doubt in case this decides to reverse back down sharply here. But as you can see by the chart here that we've got, we do have this level here, the 11,000, which we're looking at, especially this is from the more of a near-term perspective. If this decides to drop below this level, then yep, we will start looking at much lower levels. In a way, from the very short-term perspective, you could in a way keep your eyes on some of these inside swing highs here, like for example the 11,210. A nice good drop below this could lead the index slightly lower here, but that's in terms of course the short-term perspective. So keep your eyes on this one. For now, it seems to be that it wants to continue traveling further up, and it does have some good areas here on the upside, especially like I said, the 11,570, or this downside, medium-term downside resistance line taken from the 15th of June last year. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. Jumping into Ethereum now, this one's getting a beating today, and basically you can see that managed to break below this key important area of 105 and this key of support area of 105, and now it's currently balancing near the 102 zone. So as you can see, it also like held the price from moving lower here back on the 29th of June, also on the 28th of January, also on the 28th of January, and basically, long story short, guys, for now, if we see a further drop here lower, the next area that we're going to be watching out for, of course, is the psychological 100 level, which was already tested today, and a drop below the psychological 100 level could lead towards much further declines here, and we do have some good potential areas of support here. And let me just go back into history a little bit here. And the first one we're going to be keeping a close eye on is going to be the 98.20 zone, approximately there. Now this was marked here by the low of the 19th of December, but just slightly below that we do have the 96.50 as well, which acted previously as a very nice area of resistance in the past. I mean, so now it could take the role of being a nice good area of support. So keep your eyes on these two levels, the 98.20 and the 96.50. Let's see how that plays out. Jumping into NZDJPY. Now this is something I wanted to show you guys quickly, because I was talking about this yesterday, and we were basically this was covered. I've covered this one in my Traders Tea Time, and we were trading around here, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this formation. And overnight, you can see that what happened here. We had a nice drop here below this short-term, very short-term upside support line taken from the lows of the 22nd of January. Had a nice drop here, and now it's currently testing and trading around this other upside support line taken from the low of the 3rd of January. So basically, we're not taking into account this little spike here because it's a bit of a tentative one, because different platforms have different lows, and that's why it's better to probably take the line from here, from the low of the 3rd of January. And you can see that it's testing it perfectly nicely right now, and certainly the path now holds further down, especially if this 4-hour candle stays below this, or let's just actually put it this way: if the daily candle stays below this upside support line, well, further declines are possible, and this is where we will then target like areas like the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, or even lower. But for now, let's keep on monitoring this one. For now, I would say it's a bit of a tricky one, because it already made that big move here. Certainly, it does have some potential. It does have the potential to move further down, but like I said, because we're quite, let's say, overextended already on the from the daily perspective, and that's why the recommendation here would be just to continue monitoring this and see how the daily candle is going to close on this pair. But again, for now, like I said, we are more bearish than bullish on this one. Jumping into GBPUSD now, this one got a hit yesterday and finally managed to break below the psychological 130 level. So it managed to reach the found good support near the 129.25 level, not far from this 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. And you can see what's happening right now. Here you can see that the pair is kind of trying to push further down here, but we're not going to rush into this yet. We need to see a nice good drop below the 129.25 level, and only then we'll consider further declines. Of course, then we will target some of these other key support areas. The first little obstacle that you could keep an eye on is, of course, this little low around the 128.55 zone, or you should actually, even better, you could aim for the 128.15 area, approximately there. And this area is not far from the upside support line. This, in a way, tentative one, but something still, guys, to keep an eye on. You can see that we do have a kind of a nice good break here lower, but you can see that it's still kind of something similar like with the euro dollar, guys. If you remember one of those charts, basically we do have also like a breaking point here, so that's why it's a bit of a tentative upside support line. Nevertheless, we're just going to continue observing it, continue monitoring, and see what's happening with it. So like I said, maybe it could come into play nicely, so that's why. But first, before the downside, we need to see a nice good drop below the 129.25 level. On the upside, a pushback above the 130 area certainly could increase the chances of seeing further acceleration here to the upside, but to be honest, we need to see a nice good pop above the 130.85 level in order to kind of start considering higher levels here again, and we could then target these January highs around the 132.20 area. But so for now, guys, long story short, basically for the downside, 129.25 level, that's what we're targeting, or should I say keeping an eye on. On the upside, we need to see a push above the 130.85 level first in order to kind of consider higher levels. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's USDCAD. Now, I was covering this one yesterday as well, actually, and I was telling you that basically we had a nice rebound from this upside support line, this long-term upside support line taken from the lows of the, let me just quickly show you that, lows of February last year. So basically now it's kind of pushing higher, and it's pushing higher towards this downside resistance line taken from the highs of the January this year. And basically, of course, this is going to be a very interesting area to watch, because if this continues to hold, we could see maybe another leg of selling here, maybe dropping this the price, the pair dropping lower again, and maybe actually aiming towards this long-term upside support line again. But again, for now, from the very short-term perspective, it seems that it could continue pushing further. The level that we're keeping a close eye on here is the 132 zone, so a nice good push above that, and if we see a nice good break above this downside resistance line, well, this could be opening the path graph towards slightly higher levels. Of course, initially we will target this 200 EMA here, wherever it's going to end up, probably somewhere around the 132.65, 70, something like that. But if the rate continues to accelerate further up here, then we will be targeting the 133.70 mark, as this was the high of the 24th of January, or should I say near the highs of the 24th of January, and this could be a nice good potential area of resistance. But again, for all these higher levels, we need to see a nice good push above this downside resistance line first, towards which the pair is now seems to be now moving, well, let's just say moving. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me later on in my Traders Tea Time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day. Be very careful, have your stop losses in place, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.